Hi, beautiful people. I'm Celine Deol. Welcome to the launch of my new podcast, I Take Me With Me. Thank you so much for tuning in. This podcast is all about going inwards, cultivating self love, self awareness, and healing. I'll be going into my journey, especially my healing journey. I put up a video on YouTube beginning of 2020 talking about how I cured my temporary disease and how I have gotten more into spirituality, self-love, feeling more empowered, and I want to use my personal journey, my experience, my education, my knowledge, my wisdom to help anyone else, even if it's one person out there. Hopefully there are a lot that I can have a positive impact on finding their own life path and feeling empowered and bettering themselves, getting to know themselves more, and most importantly, awakening. Awakening as in getting to remembering yourself, who we are, why we came on this planet, our purpose, which most importantly comes from getting back in touch with ourselves, our souls, our spirits, finding the connection between mind, body, and spirit. I'm currently in the last year of completing my master's in clinical psychology. My areas of interest in psychology include relationship counseling, working through traumas, stress, anxieties, and woman empowerment. But in general, everyone's empowerment, which comes from being more self aware, knowing our power, embracing our power, getting back to our power. So, this episode was supposed to be my introduction to this podcast and the episodes to come. And I also want to just dive right into it and talk about my first topic that's been on my mind for a while that I want to talk to you all about. It's self-love. Now, I know this term is getting very common these days, and so you must have heard it a lot. You might know what it means, but how many of you actually have given it a lot of thought? How many of you actually know what it means and how it relates to you? How it applies to you? Have you given that a thought? Self-love is the basic foundation. It's the first layer that we put down, and everything else that follows builds up upon it. A question that I can ask you is, do you love yourself? Now really think about it. Do you love yourself? What does loving yourself mean to you? A few years ago, I probably said I loved myself, but I don't think I really knew what that meant. Now I can most definitely say I do love myself. I'm my favorite person, and I continue to develop that love for myself. I continue to keep diving deeper into my self-awareness, into my self-love, understanding more and more about myself, which makes me grow my love for myself. a lot of people associate love to people outside of them. It's easier for a lot of people to answer, do you love so and so? Do you love your mom? Do you love your dad? Do you love your brother? Do you love your sister? Do you love your grandparents? Do you love your friend? Do you love your best friend? Do you love your significant partner? It's a lot easier for them to say whether they love themselves or not, because if you think about it right now, think about someone who's special to you. You'll know in your mind there's some type of energy you feel regarding that love, regarding that relationship. And if that's a loving feeling, hopefully that's a loving feeling. You're thinking of a loving, special someone. And how does that apply to you? Is that equivalent to when you think about loving yourself? I realized self-love for me is accepting myself for my strengths. First of all, I have to know my strengths, right? To know my strengths, and then to accept me and love me for my strengths, to find myself admirable for those strengths, and to love me for my flaws, for my weaknesses. Now, while I strive to be perfect, I'm not perfect. We all know no one is perfect. And knowing what flaws or weaknesses I can change, I can improve, and then knowing the difference between what I cannot change and I should accept them and be happy with them. Because there are a lot of qualities that we have that people have told us that might not be most favorable, and we start listening to those people. And I'll give you an example. Growing up, I could be very aggressive, assertive, right? I didn't even know I was assertive. I was told I'm aggressive, I'm angry, right? And of course that all, stems from our environment, our living space, what we're going through internally. All of that reflects on how we see the world, how we react to the world. So we'll go into those topics in another episode. But over the years, I started, I didn't like that about myself. I didn't like that I would get angry. I didn't like that I was called aggressive by, my mom, or my family, And that's something I thought I needed to hold back on. Maybe that's something I wanted to change that wasn't favorable. And eventually, of course, the anger died down, all that stuff, as I started working on myself. And we'll go into that a bit in another episode as well. But talking to people or exploring myself more, I realized that I'm not aggressive. I'm assertive. Assertive is the right word. And it's good to be assertive. I stand my ground. I stand up for what I believe in. I stand up for the wrong. I stand for breaking cultural norms. I stand up for what is correct in my eyes and what serves me, or what is altruistic. And that is assertive. And that is a really good quality. And that's when I started seeing that particular quality of mine in another light. And that helped me embrace myself even more. So what I'm saying is there's so many little things about ourselves. There could be so many, there are plenty, right? And it's about making our way, digging through them, realizing, being self-aware, and working on accepting things or changing them. And that's where our self-love comes through. And so I keep saying self-awareness because that's a very, very important aspect of anything and everything. We have to be aware. We have to acknowledge before we can take action to accept or to change. And that awareness came to me through a lot of sources. These resources helped me tap into my internals. So it has to come from internally, right? So particular spiritual YouTubers I was into. It could be journaling for you. I loved having diaries even when I was younger, and I feel like journaling also helps me when I really need it. Meditation for me has played a big role. Yoga, breathing, different types of breathing exercises. Anything that maybe silences your mind, and anything that easily forces you, volunteeringly, forces you to go within yourself and dig out concepts of yourself. Bring them to the surface. That's awareness, right? A lot of times we know what these are, but we're in denial, or we just don't want to act on them and we keep putting it under the rug. But guess what, guys? Putting it under the rug isn't going to get you anywhere. You're going to keep living the same day, the same week, the same month, the same year over and over again. It's not helping you. It's really not helping you. It's not serving you. It's not serving your soul on this planet Earth, right? Because we're all here to grow and tap into ourselves. And honestly, you don't even have to be into the spiritual aspect, right? If you're just living here on earth and you don't believe in anything much higher, tapping into yourself is still very beneficial for you. It's gonna help you in your success, jobs, career, romantic relationships, friendships, family relationships, anything else that you desire. So it's a win-win for all, and I happen to think that it's a very essential thing. Self-awareness and of course self-love are very important for everyone to have, and it depends on each individual whether they are willing to put in that work for themselves, to commit, to have that dedication to themselves in knowing themselves. I would say yourself, right? In knowing yourself, in understanding yourself. Because a lot of times we are so quick to want to commit to others, dedicate ourselves to our work lives, to our, other people in our lives. But what if we flip that focus? Take it inside you for a minute. Take it inside you. Can you commit to yourself? Can you dedicate some time to yourself? Becoming your own best friend. Falling in love with yourself. Committing to yourself. Putting a ring on yourself. Being there for yourself through thick and thin. It really breaks my heart to hear some people say that they hate themselves. And to say I hate myself. No, that's a very, very strong energy. I don't know, I'm sure you can feel it, even me saying these words through this episode, right? And they're very harsh words. I mean, it's one thing to say, I'm not where I'd like to be with myself. I dislike myself. I'm not the biggest fan of myself. I'm working on loving myself. But to say that you hate yourself, now that's a very, very dark place to be in. And if you hate yourself, then I'm sorry, my loves, you're focusing on the externals. Your day-to-day life is focusing on the externals. And that's not the ideal way to live. Because before I realized all of this, before I started my self-healing journey, that's how I was living. And a lot of people who aren't awakened yet, that's how they're living, because they haven't realized all this wealth of wisdom, power, love that lies inside of us. We have been programmed all of our lives to keep going outside of us, to keep leaning on things and people and places outside of us. Nobody taught us to go inside. And I'm glad that now there are people like me and people like you who are listening to it, who are delving into this deeper. And hopefully we can teach our kids from a very young age. It all starts from within. So I suggest that you flip your perspective, flip your lens, your focus from going outside to going inside. How about you go inside and learn about the world inside of you? Let's talk about romantic relationships. I know everyone is, most of the time focused on finding the one, right? Finding the right person. And if I ask you, do you love yourself? And the answer is anything but I do love myself. Think about this. If you don't love yourself, how can you expect anyone else to love you? If you don't want to be with you, why would anyone want to be with you? So I know it's a bit cliche, so self-love is the best love. It's the energy we emit. Now, if you look into quantum physics, you'll find books and research on this. We are all energy, right? Everything is made up of energy. The energy we have in ourselves, in our minds, is what is projected and reflected outside of us. So this is why my favorite phrase is as within, as without, and you'll probably be hearing a lot of this because it's who we are on the inside is what is projected on the outside. It's all attraction, right? Well, it's magnetic. Our energy can be magnetic. Who we see ourselves to be, who we play ourselves to be in our mind is how the world will see us, is how other people will see us. So if you're not in that place yet, I'm sorry, it's a low place to be in. And I can say that because I used to be in that place, right? I never said that I hate myself, but I just didn't truly know what loving yourself meant. And how can you take care of yourself if it's not coming from self-love? You love something, you love someone, you know how to take care of it. What about taking care of yourself? How do you do that? For me, it's taking care of my body, my mind, my spirit. That comes with having a healthy faith in God. It's how I found my way back to spirituality. Having a healthy religion, right? Having sleep, learning to sleep well, listening to good music, because good music can be very vibrational. It can be uplifting or it can bring you down. There are always subconscious messaging in everything that we do or listen to or put in our minds or see on the media. And laughter, seeing the funny side of life, putting good foods in my body, doing things that nourish my soul. Dancing is a huge passion of mine, so dancing nourishes my well-being. It's how I practice my self-love. Reading, learning, educating myself, talking to my support system, friends who I truly, truly value, family members who I truly value, people who support me and uplift me, staying in touch with them. That's how I practice my self-love. And self-love is a journey. I wouldn't say you've gotten it overnight and that's it, you've mastered it. You keep learning new things as you go on. You keep learning. Like right now, I'm learning how to prioritize myself, setting healthy boundaries. Now, a few months ago, I was trying to figure out what healthy boundaries meant, trying to understand it. I didn't know how to actually practice it. And now, fast forward a few months, I understand now what boundaries are, what healthy boundaries are with family, with friends, with work. So, a lot of hobbies that truly make you happy and uplift you is also a way to practice self-love, and not to do it to show it off to others, not to put it on social media. No, to do it for yourself. Keep it for yourself. Paint a painting and put it in your room, right? Or show it to people who actually feel good, who uplift you, who actually feel good about you doing it. Text it to them, message it to them, show them in person, right? Video call them. Versus, so there's a difference between that. It's not doing it for validation. A lot of times social media is used for validation, for reassurance. But in doing what I said, on the contrary, you're doing it to share your happiness, to expand in your happiness. If a person is not happy in himself or herself, he or she cannot bear to see anyone else happy. And he or she will always say things to belittle the other person. So it's very necessary to tap into yourselves. And it might be hard doing it in the beginning, but it has to start somewhere. You have to start somewhere. And there's no wrong step. There's really no wrong step. It can be a little baby step. And a baby step could be writing a list of things you like about yourself. What are your strengths? Start with that. There, I gave you the first baby step that you can start with. And slowly, you'll keep figuring it out. what really hit home for me was understanding that instead of looking for love outside in romantic relationships, love has been within me all along. The love I was looking for, I found within myself. I am that love that I'm seeking from others. And really think about this, sit with this. If you're into meditation, just sit with this. And that really hit home for me. I think that was a major realization for me. I have everything within me. I don't need anything from anyone else. I can provide myself with whatever I desire. I can provide myself with anything I need. Emotionally, right? And financially, anything that you might seek from someone else, we have that within us. We have that bond. We create that bond with yourself. It's always been right here in our hearts. We just forgot about it. Be in love with who you are, your true essence. Spend time with yourself. Learn about yourself. Be in love with who you are and the things you do. You being love and embodying love will create a better love situation for you. So I'm not saying don't, we don't need anyone. We don't need a partner. We don't need friends, family. Of course we do. We're humans. We need human connection. We need people around us. We need good people around us. We need happy people around us. We don't want drama. We don't want negative situations. And in order to ensure that, we need to create a happy, peaceful, loving place inside of us. And so if you're creating a better love for yourself, you're embodying love, you will attract a better love situation for you. It's important to look at the higher perspective versus the monotonous, close-eyed day-to-day. And if you are seeking a romantic partner, know that love is coming to you. Your person is coming to you. Be compassionate with yourself and your feelings. Now, ding, 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 being compassionate with yourself is also a key component of self-love. You have to be kind to yourself. You have to be kind to the way you speak to yourself. It's very important to take notice of how you talk to yourself. Are you saying you're crazy? Are you saying you're stupid? How are you reacting to certain things as you go about your day? How are you talking about yourself to other people? When you talk to your friends, how do you talk about yourself? Do you say I'm crazy? Do you say I'm stupid for doing this? Do you say I hate myself? Do you say that I doubt anything good will happen for me? Do you say that I'm never gonna find the love of my life, or I'm never gonna have the career I want, or the house I want? How do you talk to yourself? Because words have a lot of power. And the way you talk to yourself and about yourself says a lot about your inner being and what you end up attracting, what type of experiences you end up attracting. So please be mindful of how you speak to yourself and about yourself, and be kind to yourself. Yes, we all have low moments. We all have low days. We can't all be peppy and bubbly and positive all the time. Of course not. We have emotions. We will be sad. There will be days we will cry. It's important to feel all our feelings. And that's where we need to know that's okay, right? We're okay. Sometimes it's okay not to be okay. As long as we circle back to having, embodying that love for ourselves, that love will never go away. Even if you're having a low day, that love will always exist within you. So you're not moving against it. As long as you're doing that work to be with yourself, putting in that work for yourself, for your happiness, for your love, for your inner being, it's okay to have low days. They will happen, but you will realize that they will never hit as low as they used to. You'll be able to bounce back much quicker. You'll be able to get rid of those emotions much quicker. And it's okay if you're not yet. It's important to be compassionate with yourself. So like I was saying, you have to believe that love is coming to you if you are loving yourself, right? Your person is coming to you if you're being that person for yourself. You have to be compassionate with yourself and your feelings. There are going to be days you feel lower than others, and that is completely okay, to sum it up. And the last thing I'm going to say is that not knowing yourself, not valuing yourself, not knowing your worth puts you in some really crappy situations. When you don't know your worth, when you don't know what you're all about, what you deserve, who you are, you can attract abusive situations, abusive romantic partners. And that abuse can come in any form. And they're clearly, one example is they're very clear abusive situations that if a partner got a new haircut and the other partner says, "Oh, you look very ugly, you never look good." And this happens. And still, and that person who's gotten that negative comment from their partner, that's how they end up thinking about themselves. They end up taking their words, taking them to heart, and believing them. Because guess what? They don't know their worth. They don't have self-love. They're literally taking the negative words of someone else and applying it to themselves and thinking that's all they are. And then it's hard for them to leave that abusive situation. So I'll leave it off on this note. I hope that this episode was helpful and it resonated with you, and thank you so much for listening if you made it to the end. I highly appreciate you listening, and I will see you in my next episode. Please take care of yourselves, love yourselves, know your worth, empower yourselves, because you are limitless and you are goddamn amazing. Okay, bye.